Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jeremy.
And it's holiday season. It's the year is ending, and the past couple of years we've done a year-end top albums review, so I guess it's time to do that again.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 28th of December, which means if I'm a good boy, this episode will be going up on January 1st. So Happy New Year to anybody listening to this.
Also, sorry to any bands that release music in the next 3 days.
That's fair. There is a Friday.
They won't be able to get in on this action.
I don't think I have anything notable coming up this week on my album calendar, at least. So hopefully there's no great ones. Sorry, that was a little bit of crackle there. Anyways, yeah, we're doing our end of the year shenanigans, and I guess we're just gonna get into it, right?
Hell yeah!
It's been a good year for music. I'm just gonna say that. There were a lot of albums that I want to shout out, so we'll get through them all. Hopefully, not taking too much time to do so. But we run this shit, so we'll take as long as we fucking want.
Well, do you want to start us off, Jeremy?
Sure. So my number 5 pick is. I also have silly category names for these, or awards that I'm giving these albums.
I love it.
So the number 5 pick for me is Skrillex's double album Shenanigans, which was one was Quest for Fire, one was Don't Get Too Close. They released like within a day of each other, I think. So I'm counting it as one album, and the award that I'm giving him is the Back from the Dead award, just because it had been so long since, what was it, Recess in like 2013, so like 10 years, yeah. I think.
It's been a long time.
So, I'm sure he was involved in making music in between.
Oh, yeah.
Between albums, like 10 years is a pretty big gap. So Skrillex gets it. Those albums are really great. They both capture different vibes, but they're still very much like connected musically. I think there's a lot of themes that carry through the whole thing. So yeah, that's my number 5 pick.
Hell yeah. And so, Back from the Dead award.
The Back from the Dead award, yeah.
I am not a good person like Jeremy, so I didn't give out awards for these. Well, so I just have
we should have communicated and figured that stuff out beforehand, and we didn't.
So number 5 goes to, for me, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards album, because they had multiple albums this year, but the one I picked was PetroDragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night, and Annihilation of Planet Earth, and the Beginning of Merciless Damnation.
Sounds like a Midwest emo song title, They're just 10 miles long.
Yeah, it's not, but yeah, I agree. So I don't know, have you ever listened?
Yeah, I'm aware of them.
Okay, so I had never really given them a fair shake, and I decided this year was the time to do that. I listened to a couple of their early albums, and they kind of gave me a similar energy to Priestess's Prior to the Fire album, I think is what it was called. But whenever I just need some like straightforward rock that's like fast-paced and has a lot of screaming stuff in it,
yeah,
I listened to it, and this gave me those vibes, but better. It was just really straightforward, something that I can put on whenever I'm just like actually in a good mood.
Yeah.
And it enhances that mood, and it doesn't annoy me or something.
Yeah, and those guys put out a lot of music in general, right? Like they just cranking out albums.
This is their 25th album.
Damn.
Or this was they've released albums since this one came out on June 16th of this year.
So they're past the 25 threshold.
Yeah, like they put out multiple albums a year, which is just insanity. And all of them that I've listened to are really good, and they span different genres. Like they have some softer stuff, they have more electronic based stuff, but this is just like straightforward rock, and that's what I liked about it. It was just what I needed whenever I listened to it.
Yeah.
So some highlights from it are the songs Supercell, Witchcraft, and Flamethrower. if anybody out there doesn't feel like listening to the whole album, they just want some songs, go listen to those. And they did have a single off of this one called Gila Monster, so also you could check out the single.
Cool beans. On to number 4s. The 4s, may the 4s be with us as we...
Nice.
You know, I don't know. We don't do segues anymore. But
Nice. For a reason.
anyways, my number 4 pick is Poppy's new album, Zig. It came out in
Nice.
October this year. I'm giving it the most surprising award just because it's in a way a return to form, I think, but also she's learned a lot. She's been through a lot, like, in the past, you know, since the last album. Or the last 2 albums ago was I Disagree. Flux came out, and then this one, Zig, is the name of it. And Flux is good in its own way. It's kind of more like shoegazy and just like chill. And then Zig comes back to her earlier album styles, which is mostly like synth pop and electronic stuff, but it also incorporates a lot of stuff that she kind of like played with on I Disagree and Flux and kind of bundles it together in a very like appealing and interesting way. There's some like industrial kind of stuff on it, and it's just all around like just a fun album to listen to, I think, because she's kind of like, she's come full circle in a way, but she's going back with new eyes, I guess, is the way that I'm going to look at it.
Well, hell yeah. So, like, she's learned along the way, and she's incorporating all of what she's done and learned into this new one. Yeah,
pretty much. And the album title, Zig, is from the title track, Zig, in which the theme is, you know, when you zig, I zag, I think is the thing that she just, is the hook of that song. So, yeah, she like, I guess, in a way that's indicative of, like, everyone was expecting something new or something different or something similar to Flux, the previous album. And she's like, all right, we're going back to, like, electronic synthy stuff. And I'm here for it because I love her first 2 albums that are, like, electronic and synthy.
I need to listen to those. I don't think I've listened to anything other than I Disagree and some one-off songs, of course. But
sure. It's a strong body of work, in my opinion.
Well, there we go. I value your opinion, I'll take it. My number 4 is from a band called Protomartyr, and the album is called Formal Growth in the Desert, and it was released June 2nd of this year. Protomartyr is a band that I found through a Pile playlist that Spotify created for me. I heard their song Devil in His Youth and just really liked it. Their singer has kind of like an Ian Curtis from Joy Division vibe to his vocals, and it more surprised me because it didn't sound anything like the rest of the stuff that was in my curated Pile playlist.
Sure.
But I mean, it's still post-punk, so it's still got its more harder aspects to it. It's still got kind of the rock influence, the punk influence, but there's a lot more chillness to it. There's a lot more of, like, I don't know what necessarily to call it, but if you hear like some songs by like the Pixies that are slower and stuff, it's got like that kind of feel to it. Almost, right. I mean, the rest of the music, it's a lot slower and are not like in your face, like kind of the more harder aspects of like a Pile or a Happy Diving or something else that I guess they kind of get lumped in with. But yeah, it was a really good find. One of the few Spotify wins where they actually recommend something to me that I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. And I don't have to seek it out on my own.
Yeah, that's always nice to find, I think, because like with YouTube Music, they also do some curated playlists and stuff, but more often than not, I find myself just like looking at new releases and manually kind of crawling through all of them to find something that I like. Yeah.
Or related artists, and you're just like, I guess I'm gonna fucking try these 10 bands and just hope that one of them sticks.
Yeah.
Highlights off that album are For Tomorrow, Let's Tip the Creator, and Rain Garden. Rain Garden is the final track, and I feel like it's a really good ending track for that album.
We here at Feedback Loop love strong ending songs.
We do. It's nice. It's great. Just a little chef's kiss on top of the album.
Yeah, it's very, very freeing and very threeing. Into number 3. Here we go. We're killing it. My number 3 pick is Meg Myers released an album this year called TZIA. It's TZIA, which I think is a character for her of some spirituality. I don't think it's a reference to TZIA as a thing that already exists. I think it's a place or something. But yeah, it came out in March this year. It wins the most inspirational award for me, because this year was like the first time I've ever performed music for people. Yeah. And the first song that I performed was from this album, just because she's like an incredible inspiration to me. And that album came out, and I was like, man, I really like this album. I'm gonna like it. It's not an acoustic album by any means. The song that I played was an electronic song, but I played it on acoustic guitar, and that kind of kicked off my growth this year, I think, in that respect. So the whole album's good. I recommend checking it out if you're into weird kind of electronic alt rock stuff.
Your rendition was very nice. I watched that performance. I watched a few of your performances. So I am inspired by your inspiration to grow this year.
Yeah, I also saw her live. I guess she wins the most inspirational award as a person, because like her concert was really good, but it was just her. And like her tracks, like obviously there's synth stuff, there's drums, there's guitar, there's bass, there's all sorts of shit. So I was expecting her to have like a live studio band, or I guess that's an oxymoron, a live band there with her, a touring band, I guess is the word I was looking for. But yeah, it was just her, and she would like switch from instrument to instrument as the songs called for them. So she would play bass for a song, she played the keys for a song, she played a ukulele for a song, she played guitar, and it was just like very like inspiring in a way that I've never been in a band, and I don't think that's necessarily my dynamic, right? I like having control over my music, I think, and that's why I'm horrible at music in general, because I'm kind of the master of none. But yeah, I don't know, just seeing her like get up there and do that by herself, and not worry about having backing tracks playing or what people are expecting or wanting from a kind of live performance. It kind of changed my view on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's always cool to see an artist like in their element, like her playing multiple instruments, just grabbing them through different songs. That's always like super cool to me. That's what I thought was super cool about like the Tallest Man on Earth concert that I went to, where he was playing multiple instruments and just like somebody who's just enjoying music. They just exude music in the way that they can just like, they seem like, which there's a ton of work that goes into learning multiple instruments, but whenever you see it maybe not perfected, but well executed, it's just like this cool experience where you're like, wow, I want to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, learning one instrument is hard enough, right? And watching somebody like perform on that instrument is great, but like to watch them do that, 10 times over with different instruments or styles or whatever is always just like, it's a treat.
Yeah, it is a nice little treat. And you know what else is a treat? My number 3 pick by Death's Dynamic Shroud. It's once again, this person, well, people have put out multiple albums this year, but the one I picked, Midnight Tangerine, it was released November 10th of this year, which is kind of a late pick, but I liked the album so much as an entire experience that I just had to put it on here. It's so I don't think we ever did a Death's Dynamic Shroud on the podcast, but I think one of their albums was a top of the year pick for me previously.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. I think it was Dark Life or something like that.
And yeah, I mean, just fucking winners. I mean, all the albums are good. This was just my favorite. It was more chill than the other two that came out, which is just what I was, I guess, looking for at the time. Man, like, it's just from front to back, it is an album experience, which is just something that I love. Yeah. And that, like, it's just so nice to hear an album that all the way through is just super cool. And while it doesn't sound anything like a Dan Deacon album, I mean, it's still electronic, but it gave me that thrill of hearing a Dan Deacon album from front to back, which was something that I really enjoyed back whenever I found him. So it was cool to feel that again. Yeah, shout out to Dan Deacon.
That was either the first or the second episode we ever recorded was Dan Deacon.
It was definitely one of the first 3 or whatever because we recorded it live in person before the world went to shit.
I still have my paper notes, which is why I think it might have been the first one.
Yeah.
Because
I
forgot technology existed, I guess, so I wrote my notes down in a notebook.
I mean, sometimes it's easier when you're in person, when you're doing something.
Sure.
You're just like, okay, I have paper. And not, let me scroll through my phone. Oh, I accidentally hit the home button. Oh, I got to go back into my notes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't have any highlights because, honestly, this album is best enjoyed as a whole package. But, I mean, the opener track, Who I Say I Am, is... I feel like if you like that type of music, that electronic... I won't say, like... It's got kind of like an 80s feel to it, like the whole synthwave type thing, but it's not synthwave, but it's got kind of that feel to it. But it's got vocals on it, which I really like. I really dig a good electronic track with, like, the vocals over it.
Yeah.
But it just hooked me right from the start and kept me hooked until the end.
Cool. Well, there's nothing else left to do but go on to number 2. Keeping this going. My number 2 pick might not surprise anybody that knows me. Paramore released an album this year. This is why. It came out in February this year. I was kind of like cold on it, honestly, for the first, like, I don't know. Honestly, the first half of this year, to be honest. So the award that I've given them is the Better Every Time award, because every time I listen to that album, it gets a little bit better for me, and I think there's more things that kind of click for me with that album. And now here at the end of the year, after having heard it so much, it's good. It's just good stuff. And obviously, I'm a big Paramore fan, so it would feel like a crime to not include it in my list.
Yeah, I feel that. I was wondering where that would be on your list, because I was like, it's got to be somewhere on there.
Sure.
But I haven't heard the whole thing. I've heard the title track, but I haven't heard the rest of it, just because they play it all over the radio.
It's good shit.
Yeah. My number 2 is, it also contains a song that you performed at one point. It's AJJ's album, Disposable Everything, which came out May 26th of this year.
Yep.
And like your number 2 pick, I mean, I always liked the opening. I think it's 7 tracks up to Baby Panda. Maybe that's 6. Yeah, 7. The first 7 tracks up to Baby Panda. And the second half of the album, it didn't click with me necessarily at first. I just really liked the first half. Didn't care too much for the second half. But since I liked the first half so much, I just kept listening to it. And every time I listened to it, it kept growing on me more and more and more. But man, is that just like, it's got so many fucking bangers on it where
it's good.
I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I just needed some folk punk in my life, I guess, or some.
For sure.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know if they're folk punk because they're full electric instrumentation. They're more just like punk, I guess, crust punk.
DIY
I don't know.
punk, maybe.
Yeah, DIY punk. That would probably be the best option or the best name for them.
Yeah, they were on my honorable mention list, so now I don't have to honorably mention them.
Well, hell yeah. Okay. It's a really, really good punk album, and it's super fun. I mean, Strawberry probably is one of my favorite openers of the year, just because it's so fun to sing along to.
Yeah.
Same with Dissonance. It's just
that whole album, honestly, and it's such a breezy album too. Like it comes and it goes, and it's just like it's quick, it's in, it's out, but it's like effective at being what it is.
Yeah, it was on my mowing playlist because I just loved listening to it, and it was like it made the time fly by. It was great.
Yeah, and it came out in the summer, which I think was a good time for that album to release.
Well, so honorable.
Speaking of honorable mentions, because that one was one of mine. I guess we're just gonna quickly breeze through. I don't have that many, but I have a handful of honorable mentions that I feel should have wound up somewhere. But again, there were so many good albums that came out this year.
Yeah.
And I actually have 5 more bonus albums. I guess technically 6 more bonus albums. That will be bonus content, I suppose, after we reveal our number ones.
Patreon content.
Yeah, Patreon. We don't have a Patreon, but it's after we talk about our favorite album of the year, which obviously we're both in agreement on. I think at this point.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
But after that point, I have a couple other awards to hand out as some funsies. So if you're not on my honorable mention list, or if your favorite album is not on my honorable mention list, stay tuned. It might still be coming.
Oh my god.
Anyways, the ones I will shout out right now, Gorillaz dropped an album, Cracker Island, at the beginning of this year. It's got good vibes on it. Boygenius, Super Band of the Year, easy.
Nice.
They dropped the record, which is just great stuff. The Hives made a comeback with the death of Randy Fitzsimmons. Fun album, just great to listen to. It's fun to see that they're still like, they still got it, you know?
Yeah.
And then Crosses.
After all these years.
Crosses dropped an album, Goodnight, God Bless, I Love You, Delete, which is Chino's side band that is more synthy and electronic. And I wanted to put it in, but there's just so many albums that came out this year that I really enjoyed. So
yeah.
they're all good shit.
Yeah, I really like Crosses. I checked them out after your wreck, which I love Deftones, so
yeah.
why wouldn't I? But but you got me to listen to them, and I thank you for that because
yeah.
it's been great. I only have one honorable mention,
cool.
and it's Sevish.
We've talked
their
about
album.
them.
We have their album Big Sway. The only reason it's an honorable mention, I feel like it wouldn't have been. It would have probably been on the list, but it came out December 16th. So I don't have enough time to really get acquainted with it.
Sure.
But they're like a microtonal electronic band that I discovered through, I think it was featured in an Adam Neely video on microtonality.
Probably.
If
right.
not, yeah, if not, I looked it up directly after watching that video and was just like, microtonal music, okay. But yeah, they're really good. They got some good vibes. So check out Sevish if you're interested in that.
For sure. And before, I'm going to slip one more in here.
Do it.
Just because it doesn't fit the top 5. It doesn't fit the honorable mentions of this year. But there's an album that I need to shout out because I really fucking love it. And I discovered it kind of late. So it gets the Day Late Dollar Short Award because it came out last year. And
okay.
It's something that I discovered this year. Brutus is a Belgian rock, kind of drone rock band. Very chill, great vibes. They released an album in October last year called Unison Life. I discovered it this year, and kind of late-ish, I think in the fall even, this year, and I've just been like listening to that album nonstop. I bought the vinyl for it because I'm just like, this album's so good, and it speaks to me on like so many levels, and it's just like, it's fun to hear. I got a ticket to see them live next year, which will be sick.
That's gotta be awesome.
Yeah.
So they're Belgian. That's gonna be cool.
I think so. They're from one of those European countries that starts with a B.
Yeah.
I think it's Belgian.
Bosnia. Is that a country? I don't
know. We're so ignorant over here in America. Let's not draw attention to that and talk about number 1.
What's your number 1?
The best overall album is the award that it gets from me. And it's the same as Joey's, obviously.
Probably.
Because it's Pile.
Yeah.
Pile dropped All Fiction in February of this year. And it is flawless from start to end.
So good. So good.
It is exactly what was needed at the time it dropped, and it never stopped being good the entire year. You know, it's just great vibes.
And you saw them live.
I did.
Which is I'm so jealous of, but also
Shout out
so happy
to
for
Rick.
you.
I gave Rick a fist bump, or I guess he gave me a fist bump. So
you received a fist bump.
I've received a fist bump from Rick from Pile. But
dude,
yeah, great live performances too, by the way.
I watched so many of their live performances on YouTube, just like wishing I was there. Yeah. Man, the just the feeling that I got whenever I found out earlier this year that Pile was going to be releasing an album was insanity. Which actually, I think their first single came out in 2022. Because I think it was Loops, and it came out, and I just randomly found it on Spotify, and I was just so fucking jacked for it.
Yeah, there was Loops, Poisons? Is it Poison?
Yeah.
Poisons? There was another single, right?
Yeah, there were 2 more. There was also Nude with the Suitcase, I think it was the third one, and then Lowered Rainbow. But the solo Rick concert that he put out, the one that you got virtual tickets to, he also previewed It Comes Closer and Blood, in which Blood is just a fucking amazing track.
It's so
such
good.
a good track.
It is the best track of the year, I think.
And then I love how it ends on Neon Gray. I don't just when and I don't know if that's my bias of initially reading the track list and seeing it, but like with their last I mean, they had songs known together alone, but that was mainly just Rick doing reworks of other tracks, but their last like official Pile album was Green and Gray, and then to see Neon Gray as the final track before I even heard it, I was like, oh, that's gonna be good. And then it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, that album delivered on all the expectations, and it arguably had some of the hardest expectations to meet, I think, of any album this year. So kudos to Rick and the crew for fucking knocking that one out of the park.
Rick, Matt, and Chris, and whoever the other guitar player is. I don't. It's changed a few times, so I don't. I'm sorry if you're out there listening.
Yeah, but hey, we're promoting them, so they can't complain that much. Go listen to Pile. Go see a Pile show. Buy some Pile merch. Give them all of your money. All of your money. Literally all of it.
Literally all of it.
But yeah,
I'm
good
sure
shit.
Rick would give some of your money back, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he seemed like a really chill guy and cool guy. But yeah, so bonus round. I got 5 other awards I got to hand out because there were so many albums that I wanted to talk about. So I'm not going to spend too much time on them, I hope. But Flay dropped an album this year. She gets the best rebound album because the previous album wasn't super great for me. I think it didn't really hit quite the same. But her album Mono came out in September this year, and it's just good. It kind of like it reinvigorated my liking of her music after like her previous album, or 2 albums I think were kind of hit and miss for me. But it's got some really like deep stuff on it that's just like super fun. Bully released an album called Lucky For You. She gets the Palate Cleanser Award because in a way it's similar to how you were describing AJJ, where it's kind of like it's straightforward, it's simple rock with a good message to it. It's very similar to AJJ's album in that way. But it came out in the summer, and it was just like, that was my summer album, I think, along with AJJ, obviously, because I performed that. I also performed one of the songs off of this Bully album, so good shit. The It's Happening Award goes to Dethklok.
Yes.
Because Dethalbum IV came out this year, and like, it's a good album. I'm not trying to belittle that, but it gets the award because it was just like, it seemed like a fantasy, right?
Yeah,
it was something that nobody thought would ever happen, and then it happened.
I don't even think Brendan Small thought it was going to happen.
I don't think he did either, but thank God it happened.
Yes.
The best live album, because I'm a sick individual and I can't get enough, Black Country New Road released live from Bush Hall this year.
Yes.
And I've listened to that album several dozens of times, I think, because it's fun. It doesn't have Isaac singing, but they all kind of like carry that weight, I think, well, and then they don't stop. They just keep putting shit out, and it's just good stuff, right? I would love to see them live. But final bonus award. The award is called the best band associated with Corey Taylor.
Oh my god.
Splutter.
No.
Splutter released an album in August. Splutter, I think the singer, one of the guys in Splutter is either Corey Taylor's cousin or Corey Taylor's cousin's son, I think, which I guess is still a cousin. But yeah, there's some tenuous connection between Corey Taylor and this band. I just wanted to talk about the album, and that was a funny title for an award. So Splutter, it's their album's called From Where We Are, The Starting Point of Sound. I forget what they call their genre. I think it's just like new gaze or something. But it kind of combines a lot of shoegazy stuff that I like with a lot of like new metal classic stuff, and they even like pay homage to Slipknot, like early like Slipknot first album stuff, and it has that energy to it. And I love Slipknot's first album because of that energy. So to hear that kind of thing brought into a modern context, and then also adding on this layer of shoegaze stuff and modern metal just in general. And like it's just a very, very cool album, and I'm glad that it exists, and I'm excited to see what else comes out of that band.
Hell yeah. When you told me about Splitter, I put them on almost immediately and fucking loved it. So
It's good shit.
I'm going to need you to send me a list of all your stuff at the end of this.
Yeah.
So I can check
Yeah.
it all out.
Yeah, we'll exchange a list, and I'll probably drop them both in the description of this video.
I still won't check out the Paramore, though, because I'm waiting on the day when we do the Paramore discography.
Hey, we can make that happen. We should not declare when that is. We should not figure that out during this recording.
That's true.
Because I don't want to be committed to something like that. But yeah, maybe next year. 2024 is going to be a good year.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get back into some roots feedback loop and do album reviews for Paramore's albums.
Oh my god.
I'd be so in. I've said that several times, and everyone knows it because, I mean, again, I'm just a huge Paramore fan. I'm a Haley Williams stan.
And if we got back to the original format, we could start doing segues again. And it seems like you're just chomping at the bit.
It's just part of me, man. I can't get it out. I miss it. But yeah, good shit. Great year for music. Good albums. Go listen to everything that we talked about. Every album, even honorable mentions. And let us know what albums we missed this year, or at least didn't include on the list. I know Melanie Martinez also had an album. That's another quick shout out. There were a few others that I know I listened to.
Panopticon had an album that I haven't listened to yet.
I still haven't either. It's in my library. I have it saved to listen to. I just haven't. It hasn't felt right yet.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be a dark, wintry, snowy night for me to put that on.
It hasn't fucking snowed here yet, so...
It snowed here a couple times, but...
a couple times.
It's not ever been, like, around for a long time.
Yeah.
So, that is what that is. Anyways, I think that about does it. Do you have anything else you need to shout out?
Happy New Year. Happy holidays. I hope everybody had a great 2023. I know it's hard sometimes to feel like you had a great year. Life goes by, and it feels like, oh
it's
shit,
just another day.
That's another year, But think about the real accomplishments that you made this year, and don't just feel like you're not in a better place, because you probably are. Even if you're in the same place, just maintaining that place is an accomplishment
for sure
in itself. Don't hold yourself to too high of standards. Don't look at other people's New Year's resolutions or where they went in the year. Like, the fact that you're still here, you're still putting in the work day in, day out, appreciate it. I appreciate you for doing it. And
hell yeah. Sometimes you gotta tread water, so there's no shame in that.
You know, I'm treading water right fucking now. That's what I'm doing.
You gotta sustain yourself until you can get that energy, to push forward. And hopefully 2024 can be that year for all of us.
Yes, 100%.
That's just that's the way it's going. It's the way it's going. I'm keeping this momentum. We're going straight into 2024. Thank you for being here. My brain just immediately went to thank you for liking and subscribing, and we don't do that shit.
No,
I don't know why
subscribe.
went there. Yeah,
ring
click
that bell.
Yeah, find us on Patreon. We're not there. Good luck.
We're not there. Good. It's a wild goose chase.
I guess what I should have said is thank you for staying in our feedback.
Bye.